What's going on, guys? It's Danny from Slow Restoration, and today we actually have a little bit of a problem. We may need to make a decision. We need to take the new car trailer and go pick up a truck. Unfortunate thing is, obviously I would normally use the diesel, but the transmission has been not going in the lockup and it is getting warm, which is an issue. So I don't really want to tow with it right now. I did try and put an internal harness and the torque converter lockup solenoid in. That did not fix it. We did both filters, new fluid, internal harness, solenoid, and that didn't fix it. So unfortunately, we need to dig deeper into that or decide what we're actually going to do with that. So leaves me to the decision of today. I kind of want to see how that tows the trailer. But we also have that, and we haven't did anything with the Turbo GMC in a long time. So, tough one. It's a little bit of a drive, which obviously that's going to use a lot more gas. It'll tow it easier. It'll do it looking cooler, I think. Let's do that. So as I get ready here, if you guys don't know this truck, it's a 2004 2500 HD gas with a turbo, a rear mount turbo. I always keep a battery tender on it, but we'll go ahead and shut this down. And this truck it's interesting. So it's a 6-inch lift, 35s on it. Like I said, it has a rear mount turbo, does have a Texas speed cam in it. Tons of videos on this. There's a whole playlist on this truck. It looks very different now than when I started this channel, but this truck is what I started the channel with. And for right now, it's just kind of been sitting here. Like I said, we haven't really did anything with it, which is most of the reason why we're going to use it today, just to kind of get it out, stretch its legs a little bit, and I'm anxious to see how this thing looks hooked up to that new trailer. Got it out, fired up. Sounds good. Let's get hooked up to the trailer. We're underway here in the Turbo GMC. Trailer's hooked up. You can't even see it back there. There you go. But we're pulling along here. I think that is doing extremely well. We are in traffic here, but this doesn't... I know the Duramax just let me down. And it would do a lot better if it did go in the lockup, and we'll end up fixing that. But this thing just tows on another level. It's hard to even describe. I mean, how can a diesel not tow better than gas? But this thing, with the exception of on the takeoff, the Allison does have better gear ratios for towing on takeoff than the 4L80. But this thing is just... it just does what it does. It does extremely well. And not to mention this truck, again, go back and look at some of the videos, but this truck's been 11.8 1/4 mile. It makes some power. It's made 683 on a very mild tune on the dyno at the rear wheels. So it's no joke, and it still pulls a trailer better so far than my Duramax. I know I'm praising this truck a lot, but we're rolling, cruise controls on, probably a little faster than I should be going, 73 miles an hour, and we're just cruising. Air conditioning still works, and it still runs 11, so pretty amazing. And all while towing the trailer. I did forget to even mention that, but yeah, we're just cruising. Goes down the road nice and straight. And like I said, it just does extremely well for what this is. I don't know. We have some thinking to do about that Duramax. I'm not sure I'm sold on it. And here's the only major problem with Turbo GMC is it does have a drinking problem. But we did get our truck. It's another Chevy Cat Eye. Should be able to use some parts off of it and be a nice test for this trailer. So far it's going really good. Towing it nice. Turbo GMC is doing what it should. Let's get home. Still cruising along here. Everything's good. You can see by the engine, or the engine temperature, trans temperature. We are in a little bit of traffic, just kind of cruising along here. Across the old Susquehanna again, back to the other side. Back home now. Obviously we got the truck unloaded in the garage. We're checking it out, but unfortunately for this truck, it sat a little bit too long in a damp location. I think this thing was kind of, it lived by the shore, and then it got parked for a few years, and it just did not do this truck any good at all. So I'll show you why I made my decision, but this is going to be a part out, or we're going to sell the whole thing as parts. I just don't feel comfortable selling this thing to someone that would actually drive it, because even though at first glance it looks pretty decent, I mean, obviously it's got some rust issues, but underneath it's very crusty. Let's get this thing up in the air and we'll just kind of go quick walk through, and I'll just tell you why I made my decision. All right, so I got my light going on here, and like I said, at first glance, this thing doesn't look horrible except for the obvious rust in the rockers. But if we really start looking and digging in, this thing did have a lift kit installed, which again is kind of a shame because it's a nice lift, but it sat too long. This side's not horrible, except you can see it blooming there a little bit. This side is, I would consider that dangerous, and there's no way those bolts are coming out. And same way with the frame itself, there's a lot of the factory undercoat still on it, so this wasn't in bad shape when they parked it, I'm sure. But if you really start looking and digging in, the frame is super thin. It's just kind of held together there with the undercoat and stuff like that. And like this spot here, we can get a good shot of that. I just don't really trust that. Same way with up here on the front suspension mounts and stuff. Again, not that it's absolutely horrible. There's no big gaping holes in the frame, and again, there is still a lot of the factory undercoat still there, but in kind of critical spots, it's just flaking apart. And I know they make these repair pieces for this. There's actually a small hole in the frame right there. And again, that stuff doesn't look horrible until you actually start messing with it, and I'm just collapsing the frame rails there. Outside of it's still not bad. Inside of it's still got some undercoat on it, but I don't know. Maybe I'm making the wrong decision here, but I think this thing would be better used as parts. I don't think it's really worth putting enough money into to making it. Here's a good example back here. This back suspension pieces on the frame itself. Look how crusty and scaly that stuff is. I don't know if it'll come through on video how bad that is, but back bumper, a lot of them do that, but it's just Swiss cheese back there. But anyway, so I think we're gonna actually part this out. There's a lot of good parts on this truck, and if this truck was fixable, we probably could have made a little bit of money just fixing the few issues that were wrong with it, and selling it as a running, driving truck. But even so, this truck only has 115,000 on it, so the engine sounds really good. We did get that running. It didn't run when we picked it up, but just ended up being a ground wire that was chewed off. That's the other thing. So mice got into this thing under the hood, and I didn't show any of that, but they did do some damage on some wiring harnesses and stuff. So it's got 115,000 on it. Engine runs good, transmission's good, transfer case is good. Back axle is a little crusty, but it's still good. If someone needed one, it's a disc brake rear axle. And there's just, the interior is actually very nice in this truck. So we'll be able to do okay. And we'll just kind of move forward. It does have some good 285s on it too, Toyo, open countries. They were sitting for a little bit, but they showed no signs of dry rot at all, and they got plenty of tread. So again, it's a shame for some of these trucks, but it just doesn't make sense to spend more money than they're actually worth to put them back on the road. So that's where we're at with this truck. Again, it is a shame. I like these GM trucks, this platform, but it just doesn't make sense on some of them. So onward and upward. Don't forget to check out the Turbo GMC videos. There's a whole playlist on that truck. It's been around for quite a while, so go ahead and check it out. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good day.